Hi, good morning. This is Dr. Linton, and I wanted to make this video um, entitled Using Your Crosswalk to Complete Your DUP and Your Lesson Plans for your project. I got this idea because after class on Monday, one of your peers stayed late and they showed me their lesson plan, a rough draft. And I said, let me show you how to use ChatGPT to populate your lesson plan, please. And it was eye-opening for me to see how useful that was. I said, you know what? Let me make a video and share some tools. One, if you're freaking out, I want to make sure that I give you something to bring your effective level down. And two, I want us to work smarter, not harder with this. We still have till December 15th to finish up this project. We're going to be teaching tomorrow, and I want us to have some fun and relax. I know many of you have completed your Cal TPA last Thursday on the 5th. That's out of the way. Um, so I'm going to get started. So I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to do a recap of what we went over at the beginning of the semester. So I'm going to use the apple in the dark, apple in the light example. I've made a crosswalk for it. Very simple. I'll walk you through that. And then from the crosswalk, I'm going to populate a DUP from it using GPT. And then from there, I'm going to use the populated DUP to create 3 lesson plans from the crosswalk. And you'll see it's not even going to take 10 minutes to do. The longest part of this was creating the crosswalk, and all of you have already done that. So watch, and I can predict that there's going to be a collective cosmic sigh, hopefully, at the end of this video. So I'm going to share my screen. Bam, share. All right, I'm gonna get all this stuff out of the way. So if you can recall, we completed this immersion activity um, at the beginning of the semester. So it was the apple in the dark. We had materials. We started off with an immersion question, why do we see color? And I took you through all of the hypothesis, the anchoring phenomenon, your prediction, and then I made sure that you all were working in groups and you did an initial model. So I want to make an emphasis here. I'm going to be connecting this epistemic practice of modeling here with the lesson objectives shortly. But I want to reiterate that we build our lesson objectives from the epistemic practices that we're using and the performance expectations. So we kind of combine those to create measurable, observable lesson objectives. Okay. And then you do your group model, you shared, and then we had an extension. I did this so that you could refine the model. So we're engaging in model building. And then we modified it, we recapped, and then we did an argument. And the argument was the second epistemic practice here. Okay. So I'm going to stop there. And so what I did from here was I created a crosswalk based on this first lesson. So I had to infer what 2 other lessons that were related to this, a storyline, if you will, would look like using the apple in the dark performance expectations. So Let me find that. Okay, here's the crosswalk. I'm going to share my screen again. Let's see. All right. Sharing my screen. Okay, I'm going to get out of here. Right. And I'm going to go, I want to say here. Right. Okay, so this is a very simple crosswalk. As you can see, there's 3 lessons here. Each lesson had a driving question. The phenomenon is listed here, and the scientific practices or epistemic practices really are listed. And the product, the learning product, is here. So the first one that you all engaged in was, why do we see objects only when illuminated? That was the question. You all were told to imagine, what was required in order to see a red apple on the table. You went through your modeling process, and then what you found out was that objects can only be seen when illuminated by a light source. Now, I've been stressing all semester, um, that lesson had to feed in the what we figured out had to feed into the next lesson, right? So the next lesson would be performance expectation, grade level 1, physical science, um, standard 4, performance expectation 3, right? This is the second lesson. The question was, how do materials affect light? That would have been the next lesson I would have taught you if I was doing a series of lessons around this topic. Phenomenon. But what I want you to see here is that there's an investigation. There's a revisit to the model that was built during the first, and then you refine the best fit argument based on how light interacts with materials, and then supporting your reasoning with evidence from the investigation. So what you would have found out was light interacts with materials and has properties, transparency, absorption, and reflection, and then that affects what we see. And now the next performance expectation is grade 1, physical science, standard 4, performance expectation 4. How can we design a tool to communicate using light? And so you design the tool. It's another kind of model. And then what you learned here would be the goal of the unit. How to use the properties of light and illumination can be used to make a device to facilitate communication. So what you see is in the storyline, each lesson feeds into the next. The product or what you figured out lends itself to the next lesson. And at the end, if the students can do the thing at the end, they've met the goal of the unit. Okay. All right. So from there, I made some lesson objectives based on the epistemic practices. So for lesson 1, using a model, students will demonstrate their understanding that objects can only be seen when illuminated by a light source. So I have my epistemic practice, and I have the learning piece of the performance expectation. The assessment was students complete a cause and effect statement on how light allows us to see objects and refine their model based on a class discussion. That's exactly what you did, right? Lesson number 2's objective, students will investigate how shining light through different materials. They observe and explain how light properties can affect what we see. The assessment would be the groups present their refined models and explain how the light properties affect what we see. Lesson 3, here's the objective. Students will design a tool to communicate using light. The assessment, students evaluate each other's devices using rubrics that focus on scientific reasoning, creativity, and functionality. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing again. Now that I have my crosswalk, I'm going to show you how to use ChatGPT in order to populate your DUP. and how to build your lesson plans, okay? So I'm gonna go here. Bam, bam. All right, and then I'm gonna share again. Where am I? Share. Okay, so you have your chat GPT open, and I'm saying here, um, using that apple in the dark crosswalk. I'm so polite. I don't know why I'm so polite. Please populate the DUP to outline the unit. Okay. So I'm going to go in here and find my apple in the dark. First, oh no, I'm going to get my DUP. So here's my DUP template. I have shared this with you in an announcement that's going out with this video. So there's a link to the DUP. And then I'm going to find my apple in the dark. Apple in the dark crosswalks. That's the thing I just showed you. And it's going to upload, and then I'm going to do this. Watch this. And it just filled it out. Here's my next generation standards. Here's my science and engineering practices, which are the epistemic practices. The big ideas, why we see objects that are illuminated, how do materials affect light. Here's the unit goals. Develop a sequential understanding of light and its interactions with the materials, incorporate Common Core literacy standards, integrate mathematical skills, engage students in epistemic practices. Now, your goals can be different. Like if you don't like those goals, this is just a starting point to this. You can revisit these unit goals, talk amongst the group, or you can use the chat GPT or integrate some of the ideas. Unit summative assessments. And then here's the lesson plan overviews, lesson 1, lesson 2, lesson 3. Notice how it used the crosswalk to populate that, right? And then the unit resources. Okay. So from here, now I can tell Chat GPT using the populated DUP from above, create 3 lesson plans using the secondary science lesson plan template. And I'm going to attach the lesson plan template. Where am I at? I think I'm desktop. No, downloads. Yes. So this also is linked in the announcement, so you don't have to go looking for it. I'm uploading the template and watch this. Here you go. Create 3 lessons. 3D learning, 5E model, assessment, lesson plan 2, 3D, 5E, lesson plan 3. It's right here. Not rocket science. Now, this is not perfect, so you will need to review it. You will need to go line by line. You will need to make sure that everything's aligned according to what you and the team have discussed. But you don't have to do it from scratch, right? So this will give you what you need. And also what I want to share with you is that I also created some guiding questions for the lesson plan. So I'm gonna reshare my screen again and show you what that looks like. So once your lesson plans the draft from ChatGPT is there. Here's some guiding questions to review your lesson plan, right? So you can make sure that the components that you need to demonstrate a level of proficiency for are here, right? So I've divided it into NGSS and objectives, student assessment, instructional strategies, engagement and exploration, explanation, elaboration. These are the 5 E's. Differentiation and reflection. So if you can answer these questions, your lesson plan is pretty solid. Got it. All right. So I wanted to demo that for you so that you can go, oh, let's do a check. Let's see what ChatGPT says about our crosswalk. Many of you have probably already started the lesson planning component. Like I said, these things aren't due till December 15th, so you have time. But I wanted to make sure that you weren't overwhelmed with the writing and whatnot, and that uh, you had a starting point so that you can go, okay, is this what we want? What do we need to edit? What do we need to refine? What do we need to replace based on the data that was generated by the AI? What I want you to do on Monday is come in with questions, try to attempt to populate your documents. I'm looking to answer any clarifying questions you may have, any confidence questions you may have. Did we do this right? Is this right? Um, but I'm hoping this is helpful so that you're not bogged down with trying to come. I think a part of the stress is feeling like you got to come up with something from scratch. And I'm giving you permission to use the AI as a starting point so that you're not stressing out over the writing or the creating of it. What you're doing is working collectively as a team and productively so that you can edit, to use your scientific expertise in order to generate these ideas, right? Um, Other than that, I'm looking forward to seeing you Monday. I'm hoping we're going to have a really good time. I'm looking forward to the lessons. Um, and yeah, we'll have a good time. Have a wonderful rest of your weekend, and I'll talk to you soon.